So I'm going to break down some let's break down some deep science. Let's break down something here. No, I won't even get into this.
Super chat.
Let's get into, can everybody see this plant here? Okay, this is a Hoya aldrichi plant. Malaysia, it looks like a regular plant until you understand that this plant is a beautiful manifestation of a golden mean ratio of sound energy. It looks like a pretty plant that you just pick up and give to your lady or admire and smell, but this is actually, within this plant, is a manifestation of sound energy, and we're going to take a look at it. So when you look at this plant, and this goes back to
Wow.
this goes back to the triangle, right? The triangle symbol that was the symbol for giving. It was the word ta, which is a symbol of giving, and it was a hand with a triangle on the top. But you'll notice the triangle was in a very specific degree of angle. It wasn't a regular triangle with equal sides. It was actually a triangle that was composed of Tehuti's number, which was 72. 72, 36 of duality, 36 times 2. And this is the reason why they chose this number to echo through a lot of religions. And the main thing is that they chose this number to echo through the story of a Septuagint, which is an artificial story that some Greek Egyptian Ptolemies ordered and sanctioned the translation of Hebrew books into a Bible, and they called it the Septuagint, which they say translates to a 70 or 72, and they use 72 Hebrew men to translate this with fake artificial story, but it's based on the true concept of the Kemetian 72 or 720 of 72. So this is the golden ratio triangle, which is a physical manifestation of a beautiful sound energy frequency that manifests as a symbol that the Kemetians called sabti, which means to give. When you take a look at this, you're going to see all the angles that actually equal the number 9. Which is one of the reasons why the number 9 was so significant in ancient cultures, and the number 9 is significant today. You see 36-degree angles, which is 3 plus 6 is 9, 72, which is 7 plus 2 is 9. The one in the center that creates actually what's called the pentagon symbol, and all of these are archetypal symbols that are made through sound energy that manifests in a physical form through nature that the government uses today to control you. Right? And this is why they control military decisions through a pentagon. Government decisions are made through a pentagon, which is actually this shape in the center of this flower, and the floor of it is a checkerboard, which symbolizes the duality, which I wanted to get into the Lamba thing, but it's duality, which is the number 11, which is why Prince and Meghan Markle were married on the checkerboard, and the Notre Dame church that burned down, the bottom of it was a checkerboard, and why the bottom of the Masonic temples are checkerboards. It goes back to the concept of black and white or duality, and so you have 108 degrees. Oh, and the floor of the pentagon is a checkerboard. So you have the 108 degrees, 72. All these are equaling of 9. Okay. Now, when you look at it, the interesting thing about this is called a golden mean triangle. It's not just a regular triangle. Every single triangle in the pentagram is a golden mean triangle. These triangles are pi relationship, perfectly self-replicated, and dance around one another like the golden spiral in nature. So that means that wherever you take the degrees of 72 and 36, it creates an exact same triangle as the larger picture, representing that the way nature creates some things is in the as above, so below principle. It's just an echo of its own self. So no matter where you go, it's called self-similarity, self-simulation, contraction and expansion to infinity. And you see the triangle within the triangle, and all of them are based on the 72, 36 degree. Okay, and this is the symbol of the physical manifestation of things that take place in the universe to create a star, or to create the universe or the solar system itself, manifest in the physical form inside of our bodies to create another person. So when you look at the as above, so below principle, you'll see things like the brain cell. And you see the brain cell looks very similar to the universe, but what I want to focus on is the birth of a cell. Okay, the birth of a cell forms two circles, or two worlds coming into each other, which the center of it forms what's called the vesica piscis. The vesica piscis, which means swollen bladder, is actually the shape of a woman's vagina, and Pythagoras used this mathematical code for the measurement of the fish. We'll get into that later, but this is the symbol that the birth of a cell forms, and it's also the shape of when the death and the birth of a star forms. It's the as above, so below principle, that when things manifest or things are created, the frequency that creates it forms a shape. Everything that's around us forms a particular shape, and that shape is seen through the physical eye. We don't see the full shape because we only see through red, yellow, blue, green, orange, purple, and shape. And that shape is seen through the physical eye. We don't see the full shape because we only see through red, yellow, blue, green, orange, purple, and violet in the visual light spectrum. But we do see a shape which manifests in front of our eyes. But that shape existed as a sound first, and that sound creates a physical manifestation that will look the same no matter what it's creating, as long as the frequency is there. So the same shape as creating a star or a sun is the same shape of the birth of a cell, the as above, so below principle, which is the mitosis symbol. One creating two, two creating four, and so on as cell division. Now, the interesting thing is that this manifests when one of the oldest symbols in Kemet is a harp. And that harp turned sideways, what actually created the piano. So this golden mean ratio, or this golden spiral, when they create musical instruments today and symbols today, they use these symbols inside of music, and I'll show you right here. So this is the clef symbol right here. Here's the golden mean ratio. This is the ratio that's found outside of the Herakuti, which is the Sphinx that goes through the top of all what's called the pyramids. And it expands in a ratio of 1, 2, 3, 5, 13, 21, and a Fibonacci sequence, as the whites call it, the golden mean ratio, as they call it. And you'll see that it's also found inside what's called the clef note. A musical clef note establishes the F, the fifth below the middle C, and the fourth line of the staff.
It's the bass clef.
Yeah, bass clef, yes, thank you. Said by AD. Thank you. Okay, so what they do is when they create their, when they teach you about how the octaves work, octaves on a piano consist of 13 notes, which is one of the numbers in the Fibonacci ratio. Right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, right? And then how they make their piano, they make eight of them are white keys, right? 8, which is one of the other numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. 1, 2, 3, what's the next number? 5, right? And 5 are black keys. So right when they create their piano keyboard, they're basing it on the number frequency of the Fibonacci sequence. 13 notes, Fibonacci number. 8 are white keys, Fibonacci number. 5 are black keys, Fibonacci numbers. The scale is composed of 8 notes, which the third and fifth notes create the foundation of the basic chord in scale. The dominant note is the fifth note, that's the Fibonacci again, which is also the 8th note of all 18th note that make up the octave. 8 divided by 13 is the 0.615, which is a golden mean approximation. Then here it is, perfect chord major, and you see it right there.
Now, it's only 13 if you count the same note twice.
Yes.
You'll notice it's basically 12 notes, and then you start over.
Repeat.
With 13 being the one again.
Exactly, and that's the symbolic of the repetitive nature of how the Fibonacci sequence works. It's things that repeat and repeat and repeat. They're called the Mandelbrot fractal.
This is why music is a divine science.
Right, and which is why the word music means to think.
The muse.
In etymology. Okay, so that is that. Now I'm going to show this little video, which is an interesting thing where it's an amazing water video where sound. We don't need any sound for it, but if you can see the screen, rubber speaker, rubber hose, water source, torrent generated. Let me just go back to that. a 24 FPS capable camera producing at 24 hertz, a sine wave, and watch what you see with your eyes with sound and water.
Oh yeah, I remember you showed us this. Look at that. Isn't that some shit?
Yeah. It's like the code to the Matrix.
Exactly.
Yeah. The code is the sound.
Because sound is the word of God.
Yeah, facts.
Look at that. What?
Yeah. That's the vibrational pulses coming off the magnet.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is why we got to be careful what we listen to, because we're made of water.
Facts. Facts.
And the microcosmic level of this happening on the inside.
Man, say that again.
The microcosmic effect of this same effect on the inside of us. This is why rock music was considered the devil's music.
Wow.
Because it was distorted guitars.
Oh.
Not a clean frequency. It was a dirty frequency. I can go on about that.
So that's that. I'm going to fast forward it to where it looks like it's even going backwards. And this is, and also what's interesting is that what you're seeing is still not even what's actually really happening.
Yeah.
So the person that's doing this sees the change, but when you see it on the camera and your eyes alter it to another kind of change, but the focus is that the sound is actually making a change. Sound changes physical matter because sound is actually what creates
Physical matter.
Physical matter. And I think I may have played this one before.
Shockwaves from a punch can do damage to the human
Yep.
body.
Resonance.
Right.
Time warp at 10,000 frames per second to see how
Now you can destroy cancer cells the same way, but that's another topic.
That's right in here. That's in here. That's a yes.
Royal Rife.
the sound of his voice to destroy wine glasses.
But we're not supposed to talk about that.
Seem to simply explode. But what's happening? I know the sound waves broke the glass, but I couldn't see how. So I'm going to use our slow motion camera to see what we were missing. Instead of singing, I'm going to use a speaker and a tone generator. I have to find the natural vibrating frequency of the glass. I have to
The
match
resonance.
this tone.
Hey, get me one of those.
Somebody out there playing with high science.
Yeah, man.
That's it. This is the exact tone to make this particular glass vibrate. When the tone is loud enough, the glass will shatter. I can feel the glass shaking, but I can't see it. If I add a straw, then it's more obvious. So what's happening here? The straw gets tossed side to side, but I can't see why. Let's record it while I crank the volume.
He had to put his headphones on.
Better put some eyeglasses on too. Instant replay.
Alright, I took 10,000 frames per second, and I took one.
I see you, Voltage.
If I were to play back this whole video, it would take 8 minutes to get through. Oh, this is
Look at that.
amazing.
Wow.
What felt like the whole goblet vibrating is actually the rim bending back and forth. 337 times a second, the same rate as the sound waves. If I draw in the sound waves,
It can't hold its integrity no more.
one wave comes out of the speaker and pushes the side of the wine glass.
Look at the power of sound, man.
The glass
Facts.
bounces
They got
back
sound guns and
when
stuff.
another
If we're just talking sound,
Yeah.
light is a whole other topic.
If the timing or frequency of the sound waves is exactly right, the motion will build until the glass breaks.
It's actually a pretty good video to explain this.
Man.
Wow. So, as we would expect, the speaker breaks the glass nearest to it. And immediately we see a crack that goes all the way around the whole bottom of the frame. I'm going to play that back again. This is where the initial fraction happens, right nearby the speaker. And in about 3 frames, and this is 3/10,000ths of a second, we see this crack go along the bottom where the glass gets thicker and come right back up to the top where it's thin.
They must be shooting at 120 frames a second or something.
That's amazing.
So if we follow that a little more,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's moving at
this piece has just
330
fallen off,
times a second.
but it doesn't in some sense even know that it's fallen off from the rest of the glass. All of the glass was shaking at about 300 hertz, 300 vibrations per second. And this piece is still doing that. You can see the corners of the glass still flexing as if they were influenced by the speaker, but the speaker is way too far away now to have that influence on this piece. It just has the leftover inertia. And we see that in all the pieces here, even along the top edge of this glass. This piece of glass is not resonant at that frequency anymore, so it can't get energy from
You ever listen to a song so loud and you can feel your organs vibrating? Like, yo, my liver just started shaking to a certain note.
Or look at the speaker.
Yeah.
the glass could bend.
It's true.
Time warping changes the way we see the world.
Crazy.
Because it makes
This is very appropriate for the show, too.
Okay, now.
Quick question for you, Bill, on that. Have you seen that place in Egypt where they have, it's like these big old rocks, and the rocks are so big when you step inside of there that the sound around you no longer exists, to the point where you can actually hear your organs and hear your heartbeat.
I have not.
And Kim,
I have not heard of that. I've heard of other sound effects, and I have them on video. That particular one I haven't heard of, but I'm very interested in
yeah, it's a one I used to look at on there. So a guy, he steps in there, and when he steps in there, he can actually, because the rocks are so dense that they block out any sound that's around them.
I mean, you can go into a recording studio, too, and get some pretty dead sound.
To the point where you can hear your heartbeat?
I mean, you would have to, like, maybe amplify it somehow if you turn the mic up and your headphones are on.
There's a spot in Kemet like that.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay. Let me. No, so the person asked about Kemet, and I want to read this. So this is from ancient papyrus, the story of Aset and Heru. It's found in, if you want a reference to it, it is in Legend of the Gods, page 103, and it says, "Thy sister, Isis, who is Aset, acted as a protectress for thee. She drove thy enemies away. She averted seasons of calamity from thee. She recited words or formula with magical power of her mouth, being skilled of tongue and never halting for a word, being perfect in command and word. Isis the magician avenged her brother." In this section of this Kemetic papyri, if somebody, once again, this is where the confusion comes in, because somebody reads this today and they say, that's from the movies, or nah, who's controlling things with the words and such. Meanwhile, we just saw scientists using sound to show glass breaking, and the glass, one part of it was still moving as if it was still connected as a full glass. Scientists are using this to they're discovering this. But in ancient times, we understood that we could make sound. Remember when the video started? So the video of the guy, he had equipment. Remember the first guy, he didn't. He was doing it with his mouth. So, but if you talk about somebody changing things by creating tone with their mouth today, they'll say, "Oh,
yeah, that's crazy.
You got that from the X-Men movie or such," and that's where the reason why they put out these movies. But in ancient times, and this is one of the reasons. Again, I'm going to emphasize one of the reasons why they got us to believe that the Natiru of ancient times were just principles and not beings, is because if we started reading these stories and understanding the powers that it said they had, this could influence us to see the reality that we have these same powers. We can do things with our sound energy, internal energy. But if you think, "Oh, these are not real, these are just principles," then you once again, it's leading you to believing that you don't have the power. So when I read these stories and I read about Isis or Aset, and her controlling things through magical power, just using her mouth, not any tool, just her mouth. And then I see a video where the man is breaking the thing with his mouth, just making a sound. I understand that our ancestors have been doing this for thousands of years. Now, this is the birth of Heru, and it says here, right? consulted protectors of her brother, drove away the fiends which would attack him, kept them out of the shrine of the tomb. She guarded him from all accidents. All these things she did by means of spells of incantation. The way you say incantation in Medunetter is Nahisi. Here's another trick they did. It was pronounced Nechesi. The H was a hard H, so it was Nechesi. That is the word that you keep seeing in English when they put Nubian. In ancient times, Nubian is something that was created in just a few years ago. Nubian is a new term. I can break down where that came from. But they purposely put the word Nubian there because the Medunetter word is Nechesi, and the word Nechesi and the word Nubian don't mean the same thing.
No, that's not the same power.
Right. Nechesi means incantation of power. Right? Nubian is from Nuab, Nub, and it just means to be brown skin. But are from the Kemetic word Nub, which is gold. But the real word Nehesi means incantation of power. So they can. AD was talking about AD. I'm actually going to bring up what you were talking about. This is sound energy medicine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Voltage controller does this also. He's into the healing.
There we go. Voltage controller.
432 hertz, all that, 528.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. So resonance frequency shuttering cancer and leukemia. And this is what AD was talking about. Now, the scientists today are using resonance frequency to shutter cancer. That means that now the tones are not just being used to shutter glass. That's just a way of showing you that sound can affect physical object. But now how can you apply it to your actual, how does it apply to life and helping people? Well, they found, this is in June 2016, that resonance frequency can find the cancer cell and destroy it. This is Anthony Holland over here.
Now, I got to say, technically,
Yes, go ahead.
it was discovered by Royal Rife in the 1940s, but the government came and shut his laboratory down because they don't want you curing nothing.
Sure.
But now that the internet's around, people are just starting to come up, so.
And I'll say even more technically,
Yes.
it was discovered by Saba Tehuti.
Yeah.
Right. But when they use the term discovered, and that's another trick too.
Yeah.
Whenever they say something was discovered, it's as if that's the first time. But we have ancient writings of Osset and beings using their sound frequency.
I'm sure it was way before then.
Right. This is for those who want to look up. This is a little long to read, but this is Dr. Peter Garyajev, Russian scientist. And here below, he uses these machines. This is the patent of the machine that can heal people and find DNA changes through sound. I'm not going to go ahead and read all this, but just say this is a patented thing. This is the patent right here. Here's the other one. And you can just go research that name. If you want to rewind the YouTube video when this drops, you can freeze frame it and just type in his name and you'll see the rest. But what I want to show you,
You can cure a headache, you can cure acne, you can cure all kinds of things.
Everything.
With the right frequency.
everything.
Look up the detox box. That's kind of one that's out there, but that's some like hidden shit.
You ever seen that movie called Glass?
Glass. Sounds familiar.
And it had Samuel L. Jackson
Oh,
in it.
yeah, I saw that.
And you remember the premises of that movie and what it was about?
The what?
Barely.
The premise movie of Glass. It was about Samuel L. Jackson knew he had superpowers. He knew somebody was opposite of him. He was like glass, so he knew he was brittle and he could break easy. So he knew his dual counterpart was out there, which was the guy that played in Die Hard, Bruce Willis. So Bruce Willis was the opposite of Samuel L. Jackson. So they had a master psychologist who had put them in a psycho ward camp, and her main objective was to convince them that they weren't superhuman. And once she convinced them that they weren't superhuman, then they made it easier for them to kill. But their whole sector was built upon, making sure that there was no more heroes that was built and grown inside the world.
This is the story of the Matrix.
Facts.
Power of the mind, too.
Now I'm going to play this other section here. This is Anthony Holland.
Frequency. Now, many of us have seen this very charming young man on the internet who shatters crystal glasses with his powerful voice. But if you watch him carefully, you'll see that first he taps the glass with his finger and listens. The glass sings its natural resonant pitch. Then he takes a deep breath and sings a loud, long note. He induces a resonant vibration in the crystal glass. The vibration grows larger and larger and larger until the glass is shattered. On the other end of the scale, we have a giant bridge made out of concrete and steel, a suspension bridge, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Cars and trucks and buses are going over it every day. And unfortunately, where they built this bridge, there was a steady wind blowing across it. And one day, this wind induces a small vibration in the bridge, hardly noticeable. But the frequency of the vibration matches the resonant frequency of some part of the bridge. And the vibration gets larger and larger and larger until the bridge collapses into the river below. A destructive resonant frequency. So on one end of the scale, we have a giant concrete and steel bridge destroyed by resonance. And on the other, we have a small crystal glass shattered. So maybe we could shatter something even small, something really small, something you would need a microscope to see. Maybe we could shatter a living microorganism. So maybe we could change a biological living liquid crystal with a special electronic signal. But in order to do that, you would need some kind of device. So we search the U.S. patent database, and we find this invention by a physician, Dr. James Bear of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called a resonant frequency therapy device, and its purpose is to induce a resonant vibration in a living organism or cell. If I put in, say, 100 hertz, out will come 100 pulses per second. If I put in 200 hertz, we'll get 200 pulses. So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100 hertz, and we look through the microscope to see if anything's happening. We watch for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. So we try 101 hertz. We look through the scope for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. So we try 102, 103, and so on. Over the course of 15 months, we try hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we find the magic combination. The answer is you have to have 2 input frequencies, one low, one high. And the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we musicians would call the 11th harmonic. When we add the 11th harmonic, we begin to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. These are the first videos taken. We showed these videos to our friends in the biology department. They said they hadn't seen anything quite like it. Seems to be a new phenomenon. These organisms are being shattered by our electronic signals. We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz. So now we attack leukemia cells. Leukemia cell number 1 tries to grow a copy of itself, but the new cell, shattered into dozens of fragments, scattered across the slide. Leukemia cell number 2 then hyperinflates and also dies. Leukemia cell number 3 then tries to make another cancer cell. The new cell is shattered and the original cell dies.
Power of sound.
So
We could do a whole show on sound frequencies alone.
on everything, I was about to ask, like, so how does that relate to the 5G?
Oh man,
That's a whole other show
Let-
too.
Let me close up with this. That's a beautiful question, but that was
Because I know that has something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be something with the 5G technology that's doing something to this the cellular
that's like
structure
a-
of humans.
Yeah, that's like a microwave frequency they're putting out. But yeah, that's a whole topic right there too.
So, just wanted to say that a lot of the sound frequency is what actually dictated reality, and that's why in Kemet and even in today, the words that are used today for sound is actually what's defining reality. So when you say the word tell means to talk, right? Tell means to reckon or calculate a number, right? To think. But tell, if you say to somebody, you can never tell. I can tell what you're talking about. Now the word tell, which was the word for talking or sound, now is the word for you understand the reality of it. I can tell what's happening, but you're not the one talking. So you can look at a situation and say, hey, by looking at a situation, can you tell what's happening? You say, yeah, but you're not even the one talking, because tell, originally, which was talking, meant sound vibration, and you're understanding the sound vibration of the situation. So thus tell means you're understanding what a situation is. If you're with a woman in modern day and you're courting her, they say, yo, who are you talking to? I'm talking to that girl. So talking and telling is a term that became known as what actual reality was. And I'll close it up with, because there's a lot to it.
You got 2 more questions and then a few statements.
Be here all night, yo.
Yeah, we just got these
breaking it down.
We got these last 2 questions just for a brief answer, and then we'll be set.
Okay, so I have much more, but I would just say this for now, that in Kemet, the god Ptah, the Neter Ptah, was the god of sound. It is his symbol, which was the bull's head, that was taken to create the letter A, which is the first word in the alphabet to which we create sounds with. Which is one of the reasons why it is the alphabet, and it begins with the symbol of Ptah, which is actually the Kemetic letter A, because he was the god of sound, the energy which brought things into existence through sound vibration. This is where the Christians got the concept, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Actual word or sound vibration is the actual God. They got that from the Ptah, which became known as the Logos. There's much more, but I'm going to end right there. So thank you for that question. And yes, sound frequency was used in Kemet and by sciences today to create things. And this is why most rituals have some type of words or sound involved. Also, there used to be a wand that was available that I use for my inner circle for healing. I've healed people with back problems. I've healed gout, healed different things with this wand that takes you back to what's called 0-point field frequency, 0-point field energy. The wand is no longer available now. They have copies of it on Amazon. The company is gone, but I was gifted with this wand, and it's using sound, vibration, and frequency in standard columnar waves to actually heal. So I actually implement this. When people say, well, how do you implement this in your regular life? I actually use sound energy and wanding energy to heal, to do rituals, meditation practices with the people in my inner circle and with people that I know. I've changed the taste of lemons to oranges, to do tests on people to say, just to show you that this wand works. It changes the frequency, bringing something's acidity back down to normal. And so yes, we can use these principles today to heal. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, all right. So last 2 questions. The Pisces.